What do you say to the people, especially maybe in our community, that's just giving up on the political process? They feel marginalized from it. They feel like, they don't understand it's billions of dollars that go to other countries, and you can't forgive student loans. And there's a sentiment that Republicans don't care about us. The Democrats don't really care about us either. Like, so why even take part in the political process, or why even, have any trust in a politician at all, right? And they kind of checked out of the political system altogether. What do you say to that group of people?
Well, I think, listen, at the end of the day, uh, the system that we have in place is one that if you're not at the table, you're likely going to be on the menu. And so you better be at the table to try to make sure that there can be a more equitable distribution of resources. It doesn't mean that it happens automatically. It's a fight, and it's a fight that we have to continue to wage and make sure that we are delivering meaningful change to people in the community, particularly communities that have long been under-resourced, and has been an absence of the type of attention that people might otherwise deserve. That's not to say that there hasn't been real progress, and there has been in the previous administration historic investment in Black colleges and universities, historic investment in African American farmers, historic investment when it comes to moving the needle as it relates to African American home ownership. Small business entrepreneurship was up significantly in the last few years under the previous administration. There was, tangible signs of progress, and of course, millions of people had their loans actually forgiven, and the Trump administration is now reversing that effort. But a lot of people actually who were tens of thousands of dollars in debt, but may have pursued a career in public service, have had that debt eliminated under the previous administration. So those are tangible indications of real progress. But of course, that's not to say that there isn't a lot of work that needs to be done, a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done to create an economy that's more affordable, that people can, have a comfortable life, provide for themselves, provide for their families, educate their children, purchase a home, have access to health care, and then, of course, one day be able to retire with grace and dignity. We have to get far more people in this country, in the communities that I represent and beyond, access to that great American dream. But at the end of the day, politics, if you were to break it down, is about the management of public money. Our money, taxpayer dollars. Politics is about the management of public money. And the question is, you're going to try to participate in that management to make sure that your taxpayer dollars are equitably and effectively and efficiently distributed, or you're going to walk away from that management and allow for people who may not have the best interests of your community at heart to play a more dominant role. And I think clearly being engaged is more important than being disengaged.
Speaker Jeffries, in terms of all the rhetoric, all the divisiveness, I wonder at this stage, what does bipartisanship look like from your lens when it seems like there's an aggressive party and then there's a party that's not as aggressive? What does that look like when we can't agree on pretty much anything? What do you say to the public? What do you say to people who are watching this and saying if they can, it's never going to work because we'll never agree?
Well, I think definitely Trump by nature comes across as hyper aggressive. He tries to bully people. And we saw over the first few weeks, first few months, that he was trying to steamroll his agenda and just jam this extreme agenda down the throats of the American people. I think you have seen aggressive pushback, from Democrats. We don't have the Oval Office. We don't have the bully pulpit. But in terms of the totality of the effort, he still hasn't been able to pass a single bill through Congress, designed to implement his Project 2025 agenda, because he's faced strong Democratic opposition in the House and similar opposition in the Senate. And that will continue, principled opposition. But at the same period of time, I think we all have an obligation to try to find common ground to deliver solutions that make life better for the American people. And from the beginning of this Congress, I made clear that if my colleagues on the other side of the aisle were willing to work on issues like creating an affordable economy, lowering housing costs, lowering grocery costs, lowering childcare costs, lowering utility costs, or lowering insurance costs, the things that are plaguing everyday Americans, then that's something that we should all be able to get behind. But unfortunately, our Republican colleagues haven't done a single thing, passed a single bill, put forth a single meaningful idea, or Trump hasn't signed a single executive order that actually is designed to address the promises that he made to lower the high cost of living in the United States of America. That's a problem. In fact, we know that Trump promised to lower costs on day one. And a lot of people bought into that. A lot of people believed it. But costs haven't gone down on day one. They're going up. The economy is not getting better. It's more fragile. The bond market is shaky. The stock market has been up and down. Inflation is going up. Our credit rating has been downgraded. And Republicans are actually crashing the economy in real time. And they may drive us toward a recession. At the same time, having done nothing to put everyday Americans into a situation where there's an economy that works for them. And so our view, our promise as Democrats, that we'll work with anyone to try to make life better for the American people. But they've got to be willing to participate on the other side, and they're not. Because at the moment, they're just trying to jam their extreme ideology down the throats of the American people. That's not what folks signed up for, those who may have voted for this guy. He overpromised on the economy. Now he's under-delivering. And I think in our system, the American people are going to have to hold them accountable for their failures. And we have to give the American people a reason, not simply to run away from Donald Trump, because there are a lot of reasons now to do that, but to run toward us related to our commitment to improve their quality of life and make sure they can achieve the American dream.
In light of that, given the formation of BRICS, Tesla losing its dominance in EV, why do you think Democrats and Republicans cannot get along to make sure that the country is actually strong? And I feel like a lot of infighting is done, which is taken away from the focus on the enemy threats that we do have. Do you think we'll ever have any bipartisan partnership for a long period of time? Or do you think that things are just too polarized now to ever come to like a common ground while we're being attacked on all fronts?
Yeah, the American people want us to find common ground whenever and wherever possible. And during the start of this new Congress, that was my personal commitment to the American people. That's what we articulated at the very beginning. And we made clear that we'll work with anyone, in order to make life better for the American people. But as you pointed out, we're in a very polarized moment right now. That has been the case for the last 10 years or so. And it's a very difficult environment for people to operate in. And now you have the additional threat of political violence, right? And people shouldn't have to be concerned that they'll be shot dead simply for doing their jobs and trying to serve the people that they represent to the best of their abilities. But this is the moment that we're in. We can't accept it. We have to work hard to emerge from it. And so my view is we all should be working to bring people together, not tear the country apart. And as you pointed out, we've got external enemies who want to crush us, including but not limited to China in different ways, certainly economically, or Russia, right, who's an enemy of the United States of America. But not all my colleagues on the other side of the aisle seem to want to recognize that. And so none of this internal division is helpful. Abraham Lincoln was very clear in the 1860s, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And it's going to take people on both sides of the aisle who are willing to commit to finding a better path, not turning back the clock, moving the country forward, not tearing us apart, but bringing us together and trying to find the values that unite us. And everybody, I think, just wants to provide comfortable living for themselves and for their families, and to be able to experience the benefits of the American dream in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, where we know far too many people are excluded from that.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we can set ourselves on a path where we can bring the country together around the common goals and aspirations that people have, whether you're a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican.